Trump faces rebellion over India tariffs. 3 U.S. politicians are moving to formally challenge U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff hit on India. Deborah Ross, Mark Vesey, and Raja Krishnamurti, members of the U.S. House of Representatives, have introduced a resolution to end the high duties. All three have often emerged as leading voices opposing the American leader's tariff agenda.
And amid straining ties with India, 3 U.S. lawmakers have introduced a resolution to end a 50% tariff on imports from India. Democratic lawmakers Deborah Ross, Mark Vesey, and Raja Krishnamurti tabled the resolution in the U.S. House of Representatives. The resolution calls the tariff as illegal and harmful to American workers, consumers, and supply chains. The move marks a growing unease in Washington over the impact of tariffs on allies such as India. Congresswoman Deborah Ross highlighted that North Carolina's economy is deeply connected with India. The state also has a vibrant Indian-American community. Indian companies have also created thousands of jobs in life sciences and technology. Congressman Vesey echoed concerns about consumer impact. He called India an important cultural, economic, and strategic partner, and the tariffs as illegal tax on North Texans. Indian-American Congressman Raja Krishnamurti called the policy counterproductive. Krishnamurti argued that ending the tariffs will also allow the U.S. to engage with India to advance shared economic and security needs. In August, the Trump administration imposed a 25% tariff on India, followed by an additional 25% penalty for the purchase of Russian oil. Now, the 50% tariffs on India is the highest globally and has soured Indo-U.S. ties.
Donald Trump eyes C5 group with India, China, Russia and Japan, and excludes Europe. What's on platter? The U.S. administration is exploring new global power arrangements, potentially forming a Core 5 group including China and Russia.
A quiet idea circulating in Washington is sending loud ripples across global capitals. A proposal that could sideline Europe, shrink the G7, and pull India into an entirely new inner circle. It's being called the Core 5 or C5. According to reports from Washington, President Donald Trump is exploring the idea of a new elite forum comprising only 5 countries: the United States, Russia, China, Japan, and India. Not democracies versus autocracies, but what the idea calls hard power states with massive populations, military strength, and economic weight. In short, countries that matter when the world turns volatile. This would be a sharp break from the G7, a club dominated by Europe, wealth, and shared democratic values. Instead, the C5 would be about deal-making, not declarations. Reports suggest that the idea surfaced in a longer version of the U.S. National Security Strategy, a version the White House officially denies exists. But national security experts say the concept has a very familiar feel. Donald Trump has never hidden his frustration with traditional multilateral forums. He allegedly sees the G7 as outdated, the G20 as bloated, and consensus-driven diplomacy as slow and ineffective. The C5, however, fits a different worldview, one where power talks directly to power. The first issue reportedly proposed for this group is Middle East security, as well as normalizing ties between Israel and Saudi Arabia. And this is where India reportedly comes in. Not as a balancing force, but as one of 5 core powers shaping outcomes. That alone signals a major shift in how Washington sees New Delhi. For India, the upside is obvious. A permanent seat in a top-tier power forum without Europe dominating the agenda. Direct access to the U.S. president on security, trade, and geopolitics. Recognition of India as a global decision-maker, not just a regional one. It also aligns with India's long-standing preference for strategic autonomy, engaging everyone, and committing to no bloc. But experts believe this is not without risks for India because of Russia and China. A C5 elevates them at a time when much of the West is trying to isolate Moscow and counter Beijing. European allies are already uneasy. They fear this could weaken NATO unity, dilute Western coordination, and legitimize strongman politics all under the banner of realism. So will the C5 actually happen?
It looks certain that USA will invade Venezuela on the pretext of drugs. It is for oil. USA did the same with Iraq and tried doing it in Iran, and got away. Trump has called drugs weapons of mass destruction.
Since early September, President Donald Trump has ordered a series of controversial military strikes on boats in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific. The administration says the vessels were smuggling drugs from Venezuela and from Colombia. But officials in both countries, and many in Washington, are questioning whether that's true and whether these strikes are even legal. It started on September 2nd, when President Trump posted a video online that showed what he said was a strike on a, quote, Venezuelan narco-terrorist boat. He claimed the 11 people killed were linked to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Maduro denied it.
Venezuela es un país libre de producción de hoja de coca, libre de producción de cocaína.
Less than 2 weeks later, there was another strike, this time killing 3 people. When asked by reporters about that strike, Trump said the incident occurred in international waters, and he insisted, quote, we have proof that that boat was carrying drugs because of the cargo that was in the ocean. On September 19th, the third strike followed, killing 3 more people. Trump alleged that they were working for an unspecified, quote, designated terrorist organization. On October 3rd, Trump announced a 4th strike, 4 people killed, claiming that the vessel carried enough drugs to kill, quote, 25 to 50,000 people. Colombian President Gustavo Petro said one of those killed was a Colombian fisherman and was not involved in drug trafficking. The administration says these operations are part of a broader effort to stop what they call narco-terrorism.
Every one of those boats is responsible for the death of 25,000 American people and the destruction of families. So when you think of it that way, what we're doing is actually an act of kindness.
So, Mr. President, thank you for what you're doing. On behalf of all those Americans who will be saved from these poisonous drugs, thank you, and continue to do what you're doing.
But
Qantas, Jetstar, Virgin Australia and other airlines experienced travel disruption in Australia as passengers across Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, Perth, Adelaide and more face 34 flight cancellations and 645 delays. A massive operational challenge swept across Australia's major air travel hubs. Authorities confirm 34 flights were cancelled. 645 flights experienced significant delays across the national network. Melbourne Tullamarine recorded the highest total disruptions, closely followed by Brisbane and Sydney airports. Carriers like Qantas, Jetstar and Virgin Australia absorbed the bulk of the service interruptions. Lesser, yet notable, impacts also hit Perth, Adelaide, Gold Coast and Canberra international airports. This widespread turbulence immediately created major issues for thousands of passengers. Bangladesh is again plunged in anarchy after death of radical Sharif Hadi. No law, no order.
And the latest wave of violence in Bangladesh, remember, has been triggered by the death of Usman Hadi, a known anti-India voice. His body has now been brought to the Dhaka airport. It's going to be, the mortal remains will be taken out shortly, so there's going to be a massive procession in all likelihood in Dhaka. There has been security arrangements put in place, but very little that can actually be done in the face of this kind of a riotous, violent mob.
Saudi Arabia has deported 56,000 beggars to Pakistan. UAE, Oman have followed suit. Not surprising.
Moving on, let's turn our attention to professional beggars from Pakistan. It's a phenomenon which has led to Islamabad's reputation nosediving even further. Its nationals are being accused of organized begging, illegal migration and criminal activities abroad. According to Pakistani authorities, Saudi Arabia has deported 24,000 Pakistanis this year alone for begging. The UAE has also sent back around 6,000 Pakistani nationals And Azerbaijan deported roughly 2,500 such beggars. Similar cases of Pakistanis travelling to beg have also been reported in Africa and Europe. Pakistani nationals have also been accused of misusing tourist visas in destinations like Cambodia and Thailand. Islamabad too has accepted how much worse the situation is and it's trying to control it. This year, more than 66,000 Pakistanis were refused travel from airports across the country. And why? Because they were allegedly heading to Riyadh to beg. Last year, Saudi Arabia had issued a strong warning to Pakistan. He had asked Islamabad to stop Pakistani beggars from exploiting Umrah visas to travel to Mecca and Medina. Well, Saudi Arabia warned that if Pakistan is unable to solve the issue, then it could affect Pakistani Umrah and Hajj pilgrims. Organised begging is a recurring problem in Pakistan. This year, the Pakistani government suspended the passports of over 2,000 professional beggars who were allegedly heading to Saudi Arabia, Iraq and Iran. And back in February, Pakistan passed a bill banning organised begging. Authorities have accused trafficking gangs of smuggling beggars abroad and tarnishing Pakistan's reputation. The legislation introduced penalties for traffickers and made organised begging a criminal offence, but the issue persists. So as professional Pakistani beggars continue to defy stricter visa rules, warnings and repeated deportations, Pakistan seems both embarrassed and concerned. The country's global reputation is already questionable over its terror funding, and with the Pakistani beggars going global, the country's international standing is being tarnished even more.
Like Jimmy Lai, Hong Kong's media mogul, was sentenced to 14 years in jail. No surprise.
Hong Kong handed down a new prison sentence to jailed media tycoon and Beijing critic Jimmy Lai on Friday. A van believed to be carrying him and 9 other defendants was seen entering the court this morning. Lai was sentenced to 14 months over his role in an unauthorized assembly on October 1st, China's National Day, during Hong Kong's pro-democracy rallies 2 years ago. The other 9 activists were sentenced to up to 18 months. All 10 had earlier this month pled guilty in a lower court to organizing an unauthorized assembly.
And Faiz Ahmed, ex-ISI chief, who was Imran's aide, is sentenced to 14 years in jail in Pakistan. No surprise.
The military court in Pakistan has sentenced a former intelligence chief to 14 years in prison. Retired Lieutenant General Faiz Hamid was found guilty on 4 charges, including violating the Official Secrets Act. He was arrested last year after corruption allegations linked to a housing project. Hamid was appointed chief of the spy agency in 2019 when Imran Khan was Prime Minister. Joining us from London is Aisha Siddiqa. She is a senior fellow at the Department of War Studies at King's College in London. Thank you so much for being with us here today on Al Jazeera. First of all, what message do you think that Hamid's conviction actually sends, and what does it tell us about the state of Pakistani politics right now?
Well, very clearly, the one message that one can read into the sentencing is that, in fact, 2 messages. One is that Field Marshal Asim Munir, who is the Army Chief and Chief of Defense Forces, is now a very powerful man with complete control of the military, and therefore he could risk taking this decision of punishing one of his former colleagues. And the other is that a corollary to this case will now be sentencing Imran Khan, who's already in jail. Now, both Imran Khan and Lieutenant General Faiz Hamid, who is being sentenced today, are accused of conspiring against the army chief, and try to kind of initiate a revolt against the army chief on May 9th.
Like Putin said, EU leaders are little pigs.
Все полагали, что за короткий период времени Россию они разрушат, развалят. А европейские подсвинки тут же включились в эту работу прежней американской администрации в надежде поживиться на развале нашей страны.
And Blaise Mereweli, UK spy agency MI6 boss, said Russian threat to EU was real.
We all continue to face the menace of an aggressive, expansionist and revisionist Russia seeking to subjugate Ukraine and harass NATO. I find it harrowing that hundreds of thousands have died, with the toll mounting every day because of Putin's historical distortions and his compromised desire for respect. He is dragging out negotiations and shifting the cost of war onto his own population.
Like, right-winger José Cast was elected president of Chile. He defeated his commie rival Jara.
Chile shifts to the right after a runoff election. Conservative candidate José Antonio Cast has been elected president following a resounding victory against a Communist Party candidate.
Like, Woody Allen, celebrated Hollywood director, turned 90 and declared that he wasn't ashamed of his friendship with pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. USA awaits opening of Epstein files with bated breath. Like, well-known Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife were shot dead. Son Nick is arrested.
Beloved TV and film icon Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle dead at 78 and 68 per TMZ.
Like, Pakistan and 6 Gulf countries have banned film, Duranda. Inconsequential. The film has made huge money in India.
Well, Duranda certainly is doing extremely well in Indian box office, in Indian markets. However, for allegedly promoting anti-Pakistan rhetoric, 6 Gulf countries has banned the film, which has been made by Aditya Dhar, which is starred by Ranveer Singh and Akshay Khanna. Yesterday we saw Hrithik Roshan, the superstar actor, tweeting about it, saying that he liked the film, but he does not agree with the politics that is been shown in the film. As filmmakers, we should also shoulder a global responsibility. This is what he had said, and then after that, a kind of a political backlash was also seen. Basically, leaders from the opposition parties, particularly the Samajwadi Party, Congress, as well as the other opposition parties, reiterated what Hrithik Roshan said, that there is an attempt to push the BJP rhetoric in films now. The BJP then counter-attacked, saying, Pratibha, that this is a film which is criticizing the terrorists who attacked India. It is showing facts. Then why these opposition leaders are having a problem with the film which is showing Pakistan in the negative light. So amidst the political furor, now internationally as well, 6 of the Gulf countries, namely Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and 2 more countries from the Gulf have banned Dhurandhar, citing allegedly the film is pushing anti-Pakistani rhetoric.
Like, 2-day festival of music, Maestro Forever, arranged in Mumbai in the memory of great percussionist Zakir Hussain by his wife Antonia Manekala, was memorable. Like, eminent British actress Patricia Hodge, gave an interview and complained of sexual harassment by producers. No dearth of vultures in film industry or stage. Like, TIFR Pune Centre of Astrophysics has discovered a new Milky Way galaxy. It has named it Alaknanda.
The universe is full of surprises. The latest discovery of a massive galaxy from when the universe was only 1.5 billion years old is all set to challenge our understanding of how galaxies were formed in the early period after the Big Bang. A BBC report says that scientists believed galaxies that formed so early on were mostly irregular in shape and chaotic. But new findings by Indian researchers have challenged this notion very strongly. Now, researchers Rashi Jain and Yogesh Vadadekar used James Webb Telescope to spot a fully formed spiral galaxy, appearing like a cosmic pinwheel. Their study was published in the European journal Astronomy and Astrophysics in the month of November.
And finally, Delhi's air quality has deteriorated so much that my friend says that cops arrested a yoga teacher in Delhi for instructing people to take a deep breath.
For this, you move your right hand to Vishnu Mudra, that is your index and middle finger bend, and you use only your thumb and your ring finger to block your nostrils. You'll be inhaling to 4 counts, retaining to 16 counts, and exhaling to 8 counts. That's the final stage of practice. If you want to first begin with just inhaling to 4 counts and exhaling to 8 counts. Block your right nostril with your right thumb and exhale completely on the left. I will begin on the left side, inhaling Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4. Hold your breath, block both your nostrils to 16 counts. Exhaling to 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now inhale on your right.
Lazy Bee. The 20th of December, 2025.